So something else I would like to do is, you see how my sphere, it is all faceted. It's got all these facets to it, and that's because if we switch over to wireframe, so hit Z, move the mouse over to wireframe, um, the geometry of this is these faces, and they're creating a sphere. So I hit Tab again, and then I'm gonna hit Z, rendered. But I would like this to be smoother, like actually look like a billiard ball kind of thing. Well, I can go up here to Object, and I can say Shade Smooth, and it's basically going to fake it being smoother, so that looks a lot more compelling. And by the way, another shortcut is to hit the delete or period key on the numpad, and that will zoom you to an object. It's also nice to map that to a mouse if you've got extra buttons on your mouse, which I highly recommend. So okay, so that's flat. I like that. And this box, I want this box, these edges are perfectly crisp, perfectly precise. No object in the real world has edges that precise, and so it's kind of fake and boring looking, and I don't like that. So I want to bevel these. There's an easy way to cheat to do that. So with this box selected, come over here to the little wrench symbol, which is modifiers, and add a bevel modifier. So you can see exactly what that did. And the width here, if we scrub that, makes it bigger, smaller. You can do cool things with that, and so I'm going to make it about that big. And for the segments, this has helped, but it's still like a perfectly chamfered edge right there. So I'm going to bump the segments up to 6. And I like that. And then I'm going to say Object, Shade Smooth. And that makes it look nice and smooth and shiny. So if I go back over to my camera and I hit A twice to deselect everything, that looks kind of a lot nicer. Okay, now the final thing before we can get on to rendering this into our cool image is that these materials, they're just flat and white, and we would like to do something a little bit more unique with this. So we need to edit the materials of our objects. So first, go ahead and save this by hitting Control S, and then select the billiard ball and move this over, and then up here this button controls of what kind of window this is, so we can change it to shader editor. And you don't see anything there. That's because we need to come down here to the material menu and say, let's give this guy a new material, and always name your materials. For now we'll call this sphere material. And by default, it's going to have this material output node and this principled BSDF node. And for most of our materials, we're going to use this setup and maybe add some other things. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're pretty much just going to play with base color, metallic, roughness, and that's pretty much it for most materials. We'll get into more advanced ones like using image textures and things like that. So base color is pretty obvious. You just scroll this around and it changes the color of it. Let's set the sky to be that. And so metallic is basically, you don't ever want this to be an intermediate phase. You want this to either be off, not metal, or 1, totally metal. And then the roughness is as you would expect. That's like, mirror. And then this is totally diffuse. So let's put it around right there, because that's cool. And let's give it a color like that. So we've got kind of like a red shiny ball, red shiny metal ball bearing. And then let's do the same thing for the cube. So select the cube, say new material, name it cube material. And let's make this guy, that one was red, so we'll make this one kind of tealish. And we'll make it shiny, so not very rough, but we're going to leave it as not metallic. And then for the ground, create material, call it ground, and we would like that to be kind kind of shiny as well. And so you can see this kind of reflection right here, which is cool. So there's one more thing I'd like to do. I'd like to add another little light. So I'm going to go back here to the 3D viewport, and I'm going to select this lamp. I'm going to duplicate it, Shift D. I'm going to move it over here, rotate it so it's facing that direction, and that looks kind of cool. I might leave it like there, but I'm going to see how this looks. This is kind of a fill light. Does that look cool, or does that even do anything? Kind of doing something. Yeah, but it's doing this weird thing back there. I don't know. Ooh, that's kind of neat. It's a glitch. Yeah, maybe I like it up here more. Kind of gives it this neat studio lighting kind of feel. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's 500. Okay, so I'm happy with this image. I want to render it out. So this is sort of the viewport rendering area, but I want to say, okay, Blender, I'm ready to make a rendered image out of this. So typically what I like to do is I'll go back into a solid view, I'll save, and then I will come up here and say render image. And there it is. You can see that was quite fast. That took it less than a second, I think. That's 1.16 seconds. And there's my image. And if I want to save this, I can go Image, Save As, go to the desktop, go to Blender, Render 1, save as image, and then go to the desktop. There we go. Cool.